I mean, when we moved to Europe together, which was, gosh, 13 years ago, we made that decision together. It's like, okay, I'm leaving my career that I'm thriving in and is going up because you have a finite amount of time with your career, right? And I mean, I think every wife or girlfriend kind of, you come to this point, like, are we going to do this?
Right.
And then, so yeah, putting my career on hold and then trying to find something else. And then I was in my late 30s at that point too, right? So it's like, okay, am I really going to go back to school for this? Is this something that I'm passionate about?
You're listening to Breaking the Ice podcast, a podcast that I created in 2020 to connect women within the hockey world. My name's Devin Dodaro, my husband's Charlie Dodaro, and we've played literally all over the world. We have 2 kids, 2 dogs, and let's just say hockey has taken my world by storm. What I've learned is that this community and these experiences are very specific, and you should not have to go through this alone. Through this podcast, I share the tools, resources, do's, don'ts, and what's helped me along the way while continuing to learn from each and every one of you. So lace them up and tune in for episodes twice a month. And make sure to follow the page on Instagram at Breaking the Ice Pod. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Happy end of March. It's almost April. You're almost done if you're in Europe. You're like home stretch if you're in North America. I am coming at you from San Diego, California. A lot has been going on for me and my family. Everything's good. All's good. We're enjoying this much needed sunshine. I feel like my personality is back again, just being in the sunshine, seeing my friends I haven't seen in years and just catching up with them and seeing family and all the things. I did post a little bit about what went on, but my husband was released from the team that he was playing for, which I didn't really get into detail on Instagram, and I'm not about to do it on this episode, but yeah, maybe we'll share more at some point. It's our off season now, which I am thrilled about. I feel like the off season is like my time to shine. I always make that joke to people. I'm like, this is my time. So we are looking forward to what's next. We kind of have like a loose plan idea for next year. And yeah, I'm going to do a solo episode soon where I dive into all of my travel tips for kids, what to expect, and also give some ideas of things you can bring traveling home. So stay tuned for that episode. Today on the podcast, I have Cheryl Rosa joining me, and Cheryl is no newbie to Europe. She's been in Europe for a long time. Her and her family currently reside in Asiago, Italy, and they have lived there, I want to say, for the last 8 years or so. And they have decided to make Italy their home. Her husband is now retired. He is working and coaching the junior hockey team there, and they are Canadian, but decided that they wanted to live in Italy full time. The dream, right? So she is also a sleep coach, and she gets into some tips about jet lag and how to optimize your child's sleep, which I think is so important once you have kids, because you really just don't know what you're doing when you start having kids, and sleep, like for me personally, it was just an entirely new ballpark that I knew nothing about. And I knew when it was affecting like my day-to-day and just like my frustration level and patience level that I needed to hire a sleep coach. So I find sleep coaches super valuable. What I learned from hiring a sleep coach back with my son, I was able to implement all of that with my daughter, and it was honestly a life changer. So I highly recommend if you are struggling with your kids' sleep. But if you're gearing up to move back home from the hockey season and you have littles with you and you're trying to prep for sleep, let me give you a little bit of reassurance that maybe it's not going to be as bad as you think it is. When I tell you my kids did not wake up one time from when we got back in the middle of the night and slept through the night every single night this time, I am not lying. It was insane. Like, I was expecting at least my daughter to be waking up, and nothing. They literally both slept through the night, never had an ounce of jet lag. The only thing that changed is my son doesn't nap anymore, and he took naps the first 3 days. Just obviously he was overtired. Um, but it was so nice because we were able to catch up on sleep really fast. Um, However, the jet lag did hit me personally really hard. I think just during the days, I just physically felt very sluggish and tired and off and just low energy, which is obviously very normal dealing with that. But it's just not the best to feel like you're not 100% on your game. But we have to give ourselves grace and just kind of lean into the chaos, right? Cheryl talks about how she has found her footing in this lifestyle, living in a foreign country full time. And we just had a great and fun conversation about all of the things. So I hope you enjoy. Stay tuned for some more really awesome episodes coming out soon, and we'll catch up on Instagram. But well, first off,
Sure.
thank you for being here and talking
Oh,
with
happy
me.
to. Happy
Yeah,
to.
it's kind of a hot topic. These episodes are very like, I'm trying to think of the right term to use. Like people really want to hear about this because it's
Yeah.
not openly discussed really, like on
Right.
teams or just in general. I don't think people really
Yeah.
have these conversations. And so people are very curious about the coach's wife's experience in the hockey world versus the players
Right.
and how
Oh,
that.
yeah, because it's totally different. And the thing that I like about you do talk about all these things because even, 14 years ago when I started in this, there wasn't a community for this. You felt alone a lot of the time. There wasn't, and even things with anxiety, moving, you don't know what you're doing, you don't speak the language. A lot of that being talked about now, I think is so incredibly important. So for us, it's a little bit different because my husband went from playing, so we live in Asiago, Italy. He went from playing here for, I think, 5 years. And then he had a career ending injury, which we can talk about too, because everybody's
Ooh,
interested in that.
yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
then we were fortunate enough, we just loved the city so much that we wanted to stay. So instead of coaching, he's not coaching the pro team, he's in charge of the whole junior organization here. So he coaches the under 19 team. He helps out. My daughter plays on the under 10 team. So he helps with that team. So he's sort of like in charge of the entire organization for the juniors, sort of like building them up, building their skills, and working towards that. So it is a little bit of a different situation. Like I'm not, it's not like being the coach's wife.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I do have relationships with, because that was one of the other questions I saw too, is,
Yeah.
do you hang out with some of the other players? So, I mean, not as much as we used to. Um, but I definitely, like I was friends with them before, especially the people that have kids, like I'll do kid things with them. But if they were doing like a dinner out, maybe I wouldn't necessarily go to that. Or if they're having a party at somebody's house, maybe I wouldn't go to that anymore, just because it's like,
Yeah.
that's a little bit different. Would I go to the game and sit with him? 100%.
When did he retire?
So he was about 3 years ago, 4 years
Okay.
ago, sorry, 3 years ago, 3 years ago. He was in the IHF tournament playing for Italy. And it's funny because he was 38 at that point, and the commentators were just commentating on how he was the oldest player in the IHF tournament and he's from Scarborough and all these things. That's a suburb of Toronto. And then literally like a few minutes later, he got hit from behind and had such a bad concussion that they were like, you can't come back from this. So it was even just that road was an entire year of like just he couldn't go outside for too long and walk for too long because he would get nauseous. Like this, it was so bad. He was doing like hyperbaric chambers. He was doing like cold plunges. He was doing like it was an entire year of being able to just like do normal things again. So that was really hard. Like he couldn't go to the arena. The lights were too bright. The sound was too bright, or the sound was too loud. It was
How,
crazy.
how was he mentally after going through that? Because obviously he's 38, so at that point,
I
as a
think he was
player,
kind of like prepared to retire in a few years, but like I said, when it's kind of like taken away from you, especially like it was a very, like it was on TV, we watched
dramatic.
it, like it was very traumatic. And then even how bad it was afterwards. And I think he was more mentally prepared for it, but the mental load of going through the concussion and all the things that come along with that, that was difficult. And even like it was like a year later, he would have a sip of a beer, like a sip, and like feel nauseous.
That's
Couldn't stay up late, like couldn't take care of the kids, couldn't do like a lot of things. Like it was a hard time for us. But
yeah.
moving forward, I mean, we have this time here that
Yeah.
he's recovering. You have a lot of time to think about, okay, well, what is our next step? Where are we going to move with this? Okay, well, we really love this city and we want to stay here. How can we stay here? Okay, well, they need a junior coach. Okay, let's do that.
So did you guys go home in this in-between period or did you stay in Italy?
So in this in-between period, we stayed with the team. You know what they were? I have to say they were unbelievable about like appointments. He found a hyperbaric chamber that really helped. He was doing physio like almost every day. He was doing acupuncture. He was doing like they were really great about. I mean, he outsourced what he needed, but they facilitated everything that we needed.
So you guys
Yeah.
stayed there for
So we stayed for the season, and then we at that point we were still going home to Canada for 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
And yeah.
So when you guys went back, that was when you were having those discussions of like,
Yes.
do we want to go
Well,
back?
we weren't exactly, and we weren't sure, this was gonna, take a year or however long it was to fully recover. We were like, okay, is this a 3 month thing? Like, you don't know, especially concussions. It's not like, okay, you broke your arm. I know that that's going to be a certain amount of time. So yeah, that was the kind of time where I had to pivot, and I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? And my girls were getting a little bit older. So right now my girls are 8.5 and 6.5. So that's a big difference because you have a lot more time. They were both going to preschool at that time. So I was like, okay, well, I can do something now that my kids are older that I can have like a career again, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's when I started doing the sleep training program out of the UK, actually. And then that took me about a year to complete all the, assignments and
The
yeah.
UK.
So then it was like a good time for me to be able to start something for myself. Like, not that I still love being a mom and doing all the stuff here, but
Yeah.
to get to the point where you need to do something for you also.
Okay.
And we live in a really small city, which I love. So we're in the mountains in Italy. So there's skiing like 10 minutes from us, downhill skiing, and then you can be in the ocean in like an hour and a half. It's amazing, but it's
Yeah.
very small. It's a
Yes.
very small city. So it's like to have that even sense of community too. So yeah.
Are you
So I
from a
really
small town?
no, well, Winnipeg, I guess it's like about 1 million people compared to Toronto. Yeah. So we would spend part of our summers in Winnipeg and then part of our summer in Toronto. So compared to Toronto, yeah, Winnipeg is smaller, and we would spend a lot of the time at the lake. So I guess I love it now that I have kids. If you would have asked me this when we started our hockey
Yeah.
lifestyle, I probably would have said no.
Well,
But
I
this
mean,
is,
because that's so remote, when you're
oh,
in a
totally,
small town.
totally.
I feel like sometimes
Yeah,
like people say that about Hawaii. Like they're like, I love
yeah,
Hawaii, but I could never live there because it's so
exactly.
remote. Like,
Like I said, if you would have asked me this in the beginning, I'd have been like, no chance. But I mean, the people here are so friendly. Like, you walk down the street and you wave at everybody and everybody knows you. You go to the park, you don't have to like worry about your kids. It's like almost like going back in time to when we were little. And the food's amazing. You can go hiking everywhere all the time. It's just there's so many perks of being here too. So I guess it just depends on what you want. But I mean, can you get takeout from anywhere? Like any different type of restaurants? No, I would be like pizza, but
yeah, we've been to Italy quite a few times. I love
Mhm.
Italy, but
Mhm.
it's so funny you say that because I've always say when we go there, I'm like, it is like going back in time here.
It
Like
is.
it really
Yeah.
is. It feels like you're in like, I don't even know what era you would say, but
Totally.
yeah, like
Yeah.
what decade. But yeah, it's like
Hmm.
everything is just slower and they close for like
Exactly.
6 day in the middle of the day that it's called.
Oh yeah, everything closes from 12:30 to 3:30. So that's like every like post office, bank, store, everything.
Yeah.
Everything. If you want to go to the butcher, it's like, we're closed.
That's hilarious to me because like they haven't caught on with like having people do different shifts. Like it's like, no,
No,
we're just closing like our
no,
entire
they're like, no, we don't want to. They're
yeah.
like, well, yeah, obviously. Well, and even so, there's options for school here too. So my kids start school at 8. Some kids are done school here. You can choose whether you want them to be there the whole day or half day. So a lot of kids are done school here at 1. So the parents have the afternoon with them. They eat dinner. They have their meal together. They do everything, and then the parents, a lot of them go back to work at 3:30 or whatever. And my kids finish school at 3:30. So that for me, that works because I'm often working in the afternoon or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay, so when you guys were in Canada, you made the decision to go back to Italy.
yeah.
What is this going to look like for us? What are we going to do for career
Hmm.
wise I'm
Yeah.
curious how that looked for your husband, because obviously you guys can have that thought like, oh, there is a junior team there, but like
Yeah.
how did that work out that he
Well,
wanted?
I think they had approached him to do it in the beginning too. Like it was offered from because the organizations are so close. Like they're out of the same arena. A lot of the things they work together on, and he has always been a skills coach and really good skate trainer, things like that. Even when he played in the AHL in North America, he would a lot of the time do that in the summertime or help out with different pro camps and things like that. So that was always kind of in the back of his mind that he wanted to do coaching. He's one of those guys that can't leave the locker room. Like even I don't know if your husband's like this, but
Yeah.
even in the summertime, it's like I'm like, you've been away from the guys too long because you're starting to like do those jokes which you're like kind of making fun of me. I'm like, I think you need to hang out with the guys a little bit. Right?
That
Like I've had enough of it.
kills me. I say that to Charlie too, and I'm like,
Yeah,
please stop chirping me. Like you need to go.
exactly. Like I don't
Like
like it.
no, I'm like it's like I know you're like trying to be like flirty or funny or whatever, but I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're like teasing me, and I'm just you need to go
Yeah,
back.
it's not making me feel good. You want to be flirty or funny? Go do the dishes.
Yeah, exactly. Like please go back to the rink. Like this is what we
Exactly. Exactly. So same kind of thing. So it gives him, and he was always like the last guy, when we would like meet the guys for lunch or something like that. And I'd be like, okay, what time have you guys done? They're like, oh, no, Marco's going to be another hour. I'm like, oh, I'm aware. We're like the last guy, the game's over. It's like 2 hours later. I'm like, I'll be here.
sadly we do have that in common.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, I'm sorry for you because it is
Yeah. Me too, because you're still in it.
frustrating, I will say.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you guys moved back and then he started this new career. And
Yeah. Yeah.
did you already know at that point that you wanted to do the sleep training, or were you still figuring out like,
I was
okay,
sort of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So before, when I lived in Winnipeg, I was a hairstylist that I absolutely loved that career. Like I loved the salon I worked in. I loved the people. I loved working with my clients and sort of making them feel good about themselves. So I really missed that aspect. But when you move around all the time and you don't speak the language, and like if you're doing hair, you have to be perfectly fluent because if there's one little thing off, like you're getting a different hairstyle.
yeah.
So that was, I mean, when we moved to Europe together, which was, gosh, 13 years ago, we made that decision together. It's like, okay, I'm leaving my career that I'm thriving in and is going up because you have a finite amount of time with your career, right? And I mean, I think every wife or girlfriend kind of, you come to this point, like, are we going to do this?
Right.
And then, so yeah, putting my career on hold and then trying to find something else. And then I was in my late 30s at that point too, right? So it's like, okay, am I really going to go back to school for this? Is this something that I'm passionate about? And then, yeah, like I really do love helping moms. Like when you get that sleep back and when your kids finally figure it out, like it feels so good. Like selfishly, it feels good for me, but like to help other people,
Yeah.
like it's a wonderful thing.
Will you walk me through the process of figuring out that that's what you wanted to do? Because a lot of women, because we don't work for so long, because we're
Right.
following our men, like, and I will speak even just for
Yeah,
myself,
yeah.
you get to this point where like you're getting close to retirement or like you're, what do
Yeah,
I like? Like, it's kind of
exactly.
stressful because you don't always know. Like, unless you went to school, like, I am a nurse, like, I am
Exactly.
this,
Then you
like,
have, exactly.
you don't, it's like there's so many things you could do almost that it's like overwhelming to the point where you're like, I don't
Mhm.
know what I want to do. How do I figure this out?
Exactly. So for me, actually, my husband helped a lot. So we sleep trained both of our daughters. My oldest was very easy. It was like one time did it, 2 days, done, no problem. She was a very easy baby, easy kid. Second one is what you would call a strong-willed child. So it took a lot to sleep train her and multiple times. Like it wasn't so easy. And then it was like the struggle that I went through. And then we were just talking about things like, what would make you happy? What's some online things? And my husband was really involved in being like, okay, like, what do you actually want to do? So yeah, we finally came to this conclusion that this is a way. I think every job that I've always worked has been like working with public, like working with people, trying to like help people or help them feel good about themselves type thing. I'm a
Yeah.
Cancer. Um, so yes, so that's finally what we came to because like I said, it was such a struggle with my youngest.
Mhm.
And we still even, I mean, she's 6 now and we've had to re-sleep train her. Well, this is kind of funny. So in Italy, they have this festival. It's called like La Befana. So basically, a witch comes in and gives the kids candies and leaves like a stocking of candy overnight. But my youngest, she asked a lot of questions. She's like, well, how does the witch get in? And I don't want to wreck
Yeah.
the novelty of it, right? So I'm like, well, it's just one day. And she's like, what about Rapunzel? Like, what if the witch wants to take me? So then she was just like terrified for a week that she wasn't gonna be able to like sleep in her bed. So then it's like, we have to keep going through the like, okay, retraining. Okay, now you have a sticker chart. So every night when you stay in your bed, you get to put a sticker. So it's like it's a constant thing for her even. So I
Yeah.
wanted to be able to help other moms. Like, you can get through this. You can have your life back. And I'm the type of person, I need a lot of sleep. Like, I'm not my best if I don't have good sleep. So
Yeah.
I know
Mhm.
how important it is, which is wild that I'm in Italy. I've actually worked with quite a few families here.
Oh, cool.
Like bedtime's here, like 11 o'clock at night for like kid, like
Oh,
June. They're
nope.
so young. And I'm
No
like,
judgment, but like, nope.
do you want me to tell you why your kid is misbehaving at school? Like, I'm sorry, but this is the number one thing that maybe we could be fixing.
Yeah. And
So,
I will say, like, if you are struggling with sleep, because I have done, like, I've struggled with sleep with both of my
hmm
kids.
hmm
But it wasn't the first, I learned so much after I hired a sleep coach with my first.
There's
I
absolutely.
was able to implement literally
hmm
everything that I did with him, with her. And
hmm
it was truly worth every penny. It was like
It
life
is
because when you're going through it, even if it's like your second kid and you're like
totally.
dealing with that for the first time, like that situation, you're just like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And it's a
Well, you
guess.
just feel lost, right? And there's so much information out there, but you're like, okay, but is this right for my kid? And it's like, okay, well, this might work for somebody else's kid, or you have a mom friend that's like, just do this, or
Yeah,
just do this. And you're like, but that doesn't work for me. It's not working.
totally.
So, and even just having the support of somebody saying, you are on the right path, you are doing the right thing, because you can have a few nights or a week even of like a really rough time, a really rough go. Like, am I doing the right thing? To just
Right.
have that level of support, I think is really important too.
What's like the biggest myth or misconception that you hear about sleep training?
Oh, that is cry it out. We don't do cry it out.
Yeah. I
And
feel like there's a lot of judgment towards like sleep coach. People think that if you hire a sleep coach that like the internet, it's like you can say something that's not wrong and then you're attacked for it. So it's just like
exactly.
people are going to say what they're going to say.
Yeah.
But people go hard on people that talk about sleep training,
Mhm.
hire a sleep coach or sleep coach,
Yeah.
actual sleep coaches. Like people come after them because they're like, how dare you? Like yada yada.
Yeah.
That's literally not what it is at all.
Well, exactly. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that sleep is actually a learned skill. Like, babies don't come out knowing how to sleep. So, and what a gift. Like, I know a lot of adults that are terrible sleepers and they're like, well, what can I do? I'm like, well, I'm actually trained for kids, but a lot of the things you can use as an adult too. But to have those skills as a kid and then you go through the rest of your life being a great sleeper, like, what a gift.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It really is worth every penny. And I think,
hmm
it helps your mental health and it helps you
Oh, totally.
find
Because if your kid has a good sleep, they're happier. Then you have a good sleep, you're happier. The
right,
whole family's happy, right?
right.
It's not just
Exactly.
like,
Yes, totally. There was a few questions about like sleep regressions. And actually before we get into that, I do want to ask you just with the hockey season ending shortly for families over in Europe,
Mhm.
I have had people ask me, like even on the Sunday check-ins, like I'm really stressed about flying home and like dealing
Oh
with
yeah.
my kids. So like what would you say would be the biggest, like the two biggest tips when dealing with jet lag when you're moving back home to North America?
Okay, the first thing, give yourself grace because it's usually takes about a week. So parents, I know that nobody wants to hear that, but like, let's be realistic. How long does it take an adult a lot of the time? Like, probably about a week. The number one thing is keep their routine as close as you possibly can to what it was before. So just, I mean, a lot of the time, especially going from overseas, it's not like a couple hour difference. Like, we're talking about a 6 or an 8 or whatever hour difference. Try
Mhm.
to get on that schedule as soon as you can. Like, when you land, the next day, try to get up at a reasonable time. I'm not saying like wake your kids up early. I'm not saying that. But then try to keep your schedule as close to it was before. But the other thing too, when I say like a schedule or a routine with your kids, keep everything in the same order. This is like the biggest tip that I can give parents when you're doing like your nighttime routine. If your kids are struggling with their nap routine too, try to do a few things that you would do at nighttime. So like if your kid brushes their teeth first, keep that thing first. Then you do books. Then you do whatever. Keep everything in the exact same order because kids thrive on consistency. Change to them is scary. So even if you mix up the order of something, it's different for them. Like kids are really good when everything is like in the exact same order and being consistent. The more consistent you can be, like even time wise, like if your kid goes to bed at 7 o'clock, like try to keep that all in line. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
other
would
thing I would say too, if you're struggling with naps too with your kids when you get home, is a motion nap is a really great way to get back on track.
a motion nap.
A motion nap. So whether that's in a car, in
Oh,
a
emotion.
stroller, motion.
I
Yeah.
thought you
So
said
like
emotion. I'm like, I have not heard of
yeah,
this
an emotional
emotion
nap.
nap. I'm like, I think I need one of those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's basically, yeah, the easiest way to get your kids back on track. The other thing I would say, when they do wake up in the morning too, get them outside if you can, like get them looking, open all the blinds, get them to see the light because that's part of your circadian rhythm. And if you can get that going, early in the morning, then and get them walking, playing outside, doing all the things to get rid of some of that energy too. That'll help getting them settled down like later in the day. And when it is nighttime and you want them to settle down, everybody says this, but like no screens at least 30 minutes before bed. 45 to an hour is better if you have like a really rambunctious or strong-willed child that needs that extra time. So great activities to do before bed, puzzles, coloring. My kids are a little bit older. They like board games. Things like that are a great way, even to spend time as a family too, before you're tucking them in books, things like that. And then also, you don't want it to be too bright. So you don't want the room to be too bright. If you have like an amber light or a red light, or even just have the lights a lot lower, that really helps them know that it's like time to wind down and yeah, get ready for quiet time.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if you are a routine person with your kids and sleep in general, for me, I have found that it's a lot easier for us to get through the jet lag. It's always harder coming to Europe, but going home for
It's way harder.
something,
Yeah.
I feel like my kids adjust pretty quickly and they're very,
Mhm.
they know they're,
Yeah, well, and then that's the other thing too. If you have this routine in place already, then even when you're in a different place or you're going home for the summertime, then they know, okay, well, I still have my routine. Like this feels safe to me. I feel secure. I can, it's just a better way to go about it. I mean, a routine isn't for everybody. I get that too. But if this is something that you are struggling with, if you
right.
can start a routine before you go home, then your kids know what to expect.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Hmm.
This is what I do too, is I try to find flights that get in at night.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the first night, they're so tired. I feel like they usually, I
They
mean,
just go to bed.
my
Yeah.
kids sleep through, honestly, the first night they do because they're so
Yep.
tired.
Yep.
They
They're so
cannot get on
tired.
the plane, so they pass out.
Exactly. The plane
It's
is too
like
exciting.
the
Yeah.
second, third, fourth.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like, oh, I thought they didn't have the
I
jet lag.
thought I had it.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too about sleep that a lot of parents don't realize, if your kid is falling asleep in less than 5 minutes, they're just crashing out. They're overtired. They're not like learning to fall asleep on their own or teaching themselves how to do it. So that's a huge sign of overtiredness,
Mm,
which is, I would say, one of the number one things that parents struggle with when they're putting their kids to bed. And then a lot of the time too, when your kids are overtired, then they get to that next level where they're starting to get rambunctious again, right? So especially with the jet lag, you can get into that scenario again. So the other thing I would say too is try to get their energy out during the day. Stick to the regular nap times, and then yeah, do the routine at night and hope for the best.
I love that.
The other thing I will say too, though, if anybody really is struggling and having issues and needing support, send me a DM. I do have another it's called Cheryl Sleep Nanny on Instagram. But if they want to find that through my regular one, it's private. So my Cheryl Sleep Nanny is public. There's tips and tricks on there, but there's also a calendar thing like you have to book an appointment
Yeah.
or DM me or whatever. Because I'm happy to help. That's like the whole point.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put that in the show notes too, so people can
Hmm.
like directly click it. And then if you want to send
Hmm.
me the website
Yeah,
information,
yeah,
I'll like link all of that on there.
yeah.
Anything
Hmm.
you want to share or add. But yeah, it's definitely overwhelming. I feel like, especially as a first time mom, and if you're,
Oh yeah.
I remember the feelings the first time. Now it's like just standard, but it's like the first time that you're making that long distance move with your kid,
Oh,
it's very
absolutely.
stressful, like regardless of
Hmm.
their age, because you really don't know what to expect, how they're going to respond. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think just being prepared and also just not having expectations because
That's the other thing. Yeah.
that is
And
the biggest mental battle is when you have an expectation. If I do all of this, this is what's going to happen, but you
exactly. Well, we're putting the pressure on ourselves too. Like I've had my youngest cry like 10 hours on a flight from here to Florida to go see my parents. And I was solo with two kids. And I was like, there's literally nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do that's going to make her stop. She was a year and a half. She just didn't want to be there. So like the flight attendants were trying to help. The lovely person beside me was trying to help. But I was like, the guy behind me is like, can you make your kid stop crying? I'm like, I'd love to. I would love to,
no,
but I
he
can't.
said that to you?
Yeah, but I was also my seatmate was really great. They're like, she's trying her best. She's by herself. But the other thing is like my
Oh,
oldest daughter never like she never cried on a plane. She'd just sit there and look out the window for like hours. So it's just like it's different scenarios, but it's like we're putting the pressure on ourselves for things to be perfect or like you said, if I do this, this, and this, it'll be fine. You know what? Shit happens sometimes. It's just
I'm
like,
just sorry. I'm so fixated on the fact that she
yeah.
cried for that amount of time.
Oh my gosh.
You
Like I
just
was so
collapse
nursing
when you,
her. Like she just didn't want anything. She wanted to walk around the whole plane like the whole time. It was so funny.
oh, mm-mm. No,
Yeah.
I could see my daughter doing that, just wanting to
Yeah.
like, be out and about, but
Yeah.
no, yeah. That's the hardest part of all of this stuff sometimes is just
Yeah.
letting go and just being like, I think that has helped
I
me the
did my best. I did my best. This is all I can do, right?
yes, I know. It's hard if you're like a control, like someone that wants to control because you want to try to
Hmm.
control how it's all going to go. But really not having those expectations is like
Yeah.
that's been a game changer for me. Because if I go in, I'm
Hmm.
gonna sleep on the plane, even that, like I don't know if people
Exactly.
ask you how can I get my kid to sleep on the plane? Like sometimes kids just don't sleep on
There's
the
not exactly. There's literally nothing. Well, it's just so exciting. There's bright lights. It's loud. It's like everything is a stimulant.
yeah,
So yeah. And I think, but I mean, also, I mean, having kids, you kind of have to throw half of what you thought was going to happen out the window, even just on a regular day. Like you never know what kind of mood your kid is going to be in, what's going on with them.
right, exactly. Yeah, one of my really good friends, she actually just flew to the Philippines with her two boys who are 2.5 and 5. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, how did the flight go? Because she was like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, I don't know how it's gonna go with the boys. Like, it's their first time really going on like a
Hmm.
plane and stuff. She's like, they slept like the whole time.
Oh
I'm
my
myself, oh my
gosh.
God, Kay, you are one
Sounds
of the lucky ones.
amazing.
I'm not kidding. I couldn't get my son to sleep for
Yeah.
till the
Yeah.
last flight, basically slept for
Yeah.
5 hours, and I was shocked. Like, I was like,
Mhm.
and I did
Well,
give him
people,
in, but
yeah, that's fine. But here's the thing: is there's different ages that are easier to travel with too. Like I would say, under a year is easy, and then from a year to 2 years is by far the hardest because they
yes.
they don't understand that they kind of need to sit still. They want to walk around the plane. Like they're not interested in whatever you're giving them. Like the tablet is they're kind of too young for a tablet. So all these things, it's like, okay, now that my kids are older, like 8 and 6, we came back from Canada last summer, and it was just like an absolute breeze. I had all these other like trinkets and things that they were gonna take out of their backpack, and they're like, we just want the iPad. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
First time,
Yeah.
okay. Wow, this is easy
When
now.
when do you think it gets easier? Like 3?
Around, I would say 4 or 5, because then they really sit there and then they can do like a different activity or things like that become easier. Whereas before they don't really get, like even before 3, this is another sleep thing that a lot of parents don't understand too. Like cognitively, a 3-year-old can't understand like even that you're supposed to stay in your bed. Like it's just the concept is their brains haven't developed enough to understand that. So to stay in a seat in the plane, like they can't really grasp that, and they're still a little bit young for like a lot of tablet time and things like that. So having to bring out something new and exciting all the time for them is still difficult. So yeah, I would say around 4 or 5 is when
Yeah.
they really kind of get it, or they can sit and draw or sit and do like a sticker book thing or things like that where their attention is actually fixed on something else. Because
Mhm.
yeah, before that they're not really cognitively ready for it.
Right. Yeah, I it definitely becomes more enjoyable the older, but you're
Exactly.
1 to 2 is just
Yeah, that's a struggle.
yeah.
That's a struggle. But the other thing too is like we have this lifestyle where you don't have a choice. Like
Right.
you're going overseas with your partner
Right.
regardless.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's just one of those things you have to. I'm like these travel days. That's what's going to do me in for retirement.
Yeah.
I can't. It's like the stress of like the kids being up.
Totally. You're like, this is taking years off my life.
Exactly. I always tell Charlie, I'm like, when we arrive to our destination, you have to let me express myself in any way that I need to. Like if I'm gonna be like mean or something, just let it slide
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
exhausted and the
Yeah,
kids.
there has to be like a 2 hour window where it's like just disregard whatever I'm
Yeah,
doing.
exactly. I want to move into because you guys are living in Italy and you're not
Mhm.
your husband's not playing hockey anymore and he's coaching like this younger team. Something that I want to touch on is just like how you found your community in this new place
Mhm.
and like how have you found a support system and how have you like made this your home ultimately?
Well, for us too, so we keep the same house that we had when he was playing. So this is like the only house that our kids have known here. So I think that helps a lot too, because like this feels like their home to them. It was a bit of a struggle in the beginning because speaking Italian, right? So having to learn a language because we were in such a small community, there aren't a lot of people who speak English here, or maybe they understand but aren't speaking very well. So in the beginning, when you're going to the hockey games and you're hanging out with all the like wives and girlfriends, I didn't have to learn Italian. I mean, you learn a little bit, but now that I mean, especially we stay in the summertime quite a bit now. In the beginning, we stayed because my youngest daughter was really struggling with her Italian. Especially after COVID, and when she started preschool, we would go home for 4 months and she would forget Italian. I mean, so did I, but
Yeah.
it was so that the first year that we decided to stay here for the summer was mostly because of her to keep her Italian, give her the confidence, playing with friends and things like that. So yeah, I would say that that was once I started to be able to speak Italian. So we've got friends, that our kids are the same age. I still have friends on the team that I talk to that speak English or a little bit of English, a little bit of Italian. But I still talk to my friends at home quite a bit. Like I still FaceTime my friends at home and my family, and I mean that's my community too. So I
Totally.
think you to have a mix of both. But like I feel like I schedule things in here. So I'm busy and my husband's busy. So I mean if I'm going for a walk with like a mom friend, like I have to schedule that into my week. Otherwise it's not gonna happen. Or if I want to have a coffee with a mom, like I schedule that in like a week in advance because otherwise I'm not going to have the time for it. And then I'm not putting myself first and things that are important to me, like going for a hike or having coffee or other things, because especially after school, my husband works a lot at night. Now that's another thing that's different is my husband coaches the juniors. So he's working more at nighttime than during the day with the team or whatever. That's more their hours. So running the kids here, there, I don't have a lot of time at night. I'm doing kid stuff or things like that. So to schedule the time that's important for me during the day or, a workout in the morning, if I don't schedule my life, things aren't going to happen.
Totally. No, I completely agree with that. Like if you don't
Mhm.
schedule that time in for yourself, it will not
Mhm.
happen and you will
Yeah,
start to run on fumes and then you'll be like,
totally. And then I get grouchy and
yeah,
then I'm just not myself. I don't
yeah,
have that like bubbly energy that I'm like, yeah, I can take on the world where I haven't talked to an adult other than like a school friend or a hockey mom or whatever for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever. You start to go a little squirrely.
yeah.
Or I
Exactly.
do. I don't know about you, but
No.
I do.
Oh my gosh, totally. Even like when it
Yeah.
comes to I've found like a sense of control to me is like planning out our meals for the week. It sounds so small
No,
and
I love
silly,
it. I love
but like
it.
if I don't do that, like like we'll literally be like, "Oh my God, like we don't have any food. Like we need to go to the
Yeah.
store." And now it's like 5:30 p.m. It
No,
interferes
no.
with like the whole I'm like I cannot do that anymore because it started happening so much. I'm like,
Right.
"Nope." So now routinely Sunday, I'm like Monday through Sunday like
Mhm.
couple loose
That's
meals.
smart. Yeah, yeah.
It makes me feel like because if I don't
I
do
do.
that, it falls to shit. Yeah.
No,
So
that's really
anyway,
smart to do. I do the same thing. Like Sundays, I'm usually meal prepping a bunch of things and even snacks for school and all that kind of stuff. Because if I don't, and the other thing too, like my kids are older too, so you get to the point like 8 and 6. Okay, well, my 8-year-old has hockey 5 days a week. Then you're running to that. I'm doing that. I mean, the other thing too, we're not in Toronto where it's like an hour and a half. I'm running 5 minutes. But
yeah,
then it's like the other one's got swimming or a school activity or dance or there's a birthday party. Like there's always something, or we're going skiing or whatever it is. But it's like if I'm not really regimented in what I'm doing, yeah, you have no time for yourself. Or I'm like, what is happening today? Like I have no idea.
right. And then you just sit around and then get in a bad mood. So
Yeah.
Well, probably not you. You're probably like, it's good. Uh,
Like, yeah.
yeah. So, what was I gonna ask you? Oh, do you ever find yourself getting homesick?
I did a lot more in the beginning. I definitely did a lot more in the beginning. Because yeah, I mean, you're just used to being home with your friends and your family a lot more. I don't so much anymore, but like I said, I found a community here that I really love. I think I'm just too busy.
Yeah, that's
Too
good.
busy.
I think
Yeah. And, but like I said, I do talk to my friends at home. I do talk to my family quite a bit, and they come to visit a lot too. So I think that makes it different. Like, my family comes to visit almost every year. My husband's family has visited the last couple of years. We have a lot of friends that like to come. So I think that makes a big difference too.
totally. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, do
The
you,
other thing too is we've been here 13 years. Like, we've been in this city for 8 years now too. So that makes a big difference.
okay,
So I mean, you get used to all the things, and I mean, all the friends at my kids' school and all the other mom friends and hockey friends that I have now too. Like that, there's a lot more people that I can choose to hang out with, as opposed to maybe it's your first or second year. You're still making those friends and making those relationships.
there's a lot of girls that are on teams, on very remote teams where not a lot of people speak English, and that can
Hmm.
be very, very difficult, especially if you're a
Hmm.
social person who needs that kind of social interaction. And obviously, you guys have been able to stay in a place for so many years, and so you're kind of like, okay, I need to learn Italian. Like this
Hmm.
is kind of our future right now, and like I need to learn this to be able to get through and make
Hmm.
friends and find my community. But would you give any advice to someone that might not know if they're staying in a certain location? Like,
So I will say I know exactly how that feels, because when we were in Finland, that was our very first year going to Europe. I'd never been to Europe. I had never. So at that point, there was two imports on a team, and the other import didn't have a girlfriend. So all the other people, I mean, in Finland, people do speak really good English, but they were also working in school, doing all these other things. So I found different activities to like keep myself busy, learning to cook a bunch of different like exciting, like that was exciting to me, recipes. I joined a gym where I found a little bit of a community there. And the other thing I would say too is, yeah, find things that interest you that maybe other people are interested too, right? Maybe find a yoga class that you really like. That's a great way to kind of meet like-minded friends. But I would say your platform was really good too, because you're not feeling alone. Like, all these people, we're all feeling the same things, right? Especially the first couple of years are really can be really hard. And especially when the guys are away all the time, you're like, well, what am I going to do? I think it's important to go out and find your own community, yeah, and get out and do things that are exciting and important to you.
mhm. I will say, I think once you have kids too, it does make it a
Yeah.
little bit easier to meet people through them because I think every year I've made at least one friend outside of hockey
Mhm.
through this year through my son's school or in the
Exactly.
past just
Yeah.
going to a park and like I was just saying this to a friend, but sparking up a conversation with someone, even just being like, "Oh, how old's your little one?" Like they kind of look around the same
Exactly.
age, and then
Exactly.
you get like a vibe check almost. Okay,
Hmm.
like, do I click with this person?
Definitely.
And I ask for their number? Like, you
Yeah.
have to kind of like start
Oh,
chatting with
oh,
people. Otherwise,
totally.
you will never know if like you could meet someone.
Exactly. I think I would do that too much. My husband thinks I'm a little bit crazy. I'm like, oh, we can be friends. We can be friends. He's like, Cheryl, stop, please.
No,
I would
that's
say I'm very outgoing. I'm a very outgoing person, like maybe to a fault.
well, I mean, you have to be. You really have to be. Like,
I think, especially with this lifestyle, I could see how like they would be really hard if somebody was a big introvert. But I mean, there's whatever you're interested in. Maybe you're really interested in books. Okay, find a book club that these people, even if it's an online thing,
yeah. Or
find a community or find something like a hobby that you like doing.
I don't know about in these remote places, like kind of where
Hmm.
you're living, but even like sometimes they have Facebook groups, like
Yeah,
have
yeah,
living in Vienna or whatever, wherever
exactly,
living.
exactly. Or maybe it's a city that's like an hour away and you meet up with them once a month or whatever you want to do for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's very important
Hmm.
when you're experiencing that because it is hard. Like
Yeah, because there's expats that aren't necessarily like hockey wives too. There's expats, teaching English. There's expats doing this. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a hockey related thing. You can find
oh,
expats, meet them at a coffee shop, just,
totally. It is kind of
yeah.
nice too, because then you like
Yeah.
You don't
You're
like
not just talking hockey all the time.
exactly like it's not that we're just talking hockey with like girls on the team or anything like that, but like it just
Kind of
completely
revolves around it.
it does. Like you all know each other, that's why you're all there. Like it
Exactly.
up, but it's nice to be able to like not have to fixate on that with
Hmm.
someone that's
Hmm.
outside of it and like just it's a different vibe.
Exactly. And have something for yourself too, right? This
Yeah,
is like a friendship that's just like
separate.
cultivated for me and the things that I like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Have you learned about yourself in this lifestyle?
I've learned about myself, well, that we can all do hard things. Like you can find a new apartment if you don't like it. You can make new friends. You can, like you can do all the hard things. And things that maybe do take you out of your comfort zone. So I do think that and resilience too, like that kind of goes with it. Like you can be resilient and, to learn a new language or, learn to cook, learn to do all these things that maybe you didn't think that you could do or maybe didn't have the time to do before because you were working 3 jobs or whatever. So I think yeah, that's been really important for me and our family. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say for someone that's starting their hockey journey and they're maybe in the thick of it, what advice would you give to them?
Get outside more. Get outside and like take a walk because if and I felt the feels sometimes too where it's like you're sad or maybe you're not feeling included or you're homesick or whatever. Changing just your state, even for like 20 minutes, if that's all you've got, it always makes you feel better. Or even just like reaching out to your friend, can we just meet for coffee for 20 minutes? And just having that change of state can honestly change everything.
Yes, love that so much.
Mhm.
Right now, plug your handles. I'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, like I said, so it's Cheryl Sleep Nanny on Instagram, and you can DM me your questions, or there's a little link in there where you can book an appointment with me. And yeah, I'm really happy to help anybody that needs help with your little babies and your sleep, or older kids too. Like I said, my 6-year-old.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for coming
Well,
on the
thank you.
podcast.
This was so fun.